If you're a newer photographer who's just starting out in business and this is the first time you're ever thinking about pricing your sessions, it can be a very nerve-wracking experience because sometimes it can feel like, how do I even figure out what to charge? What will somebody pay me? Would somebody pay me this? And it can feel like a lot. So in this video, I'll be walking you through the step-by-step of figuring out the pricing for your very first photo session. I'll also be sharing a common mistake that new photographers make when pricing their sessions that can often lead to burnout, so stay tuned for that. So step one is to understand your costs. Pricing your sessions isn't just about what other photographers are charging. They need to be based in reality, so you need to take into account your actual cost. This is where you're gonna list out all of your expenses, your gear, software, travel time, gas money, everything that it takes for you to go out and do a photo shoot. Now, if this is your first time charging for a photo shoot, you're like, well, I don't even know what any of those things cost. Like, if you are planning to make money with your camera, take the cost of your camera as kind of like a baseline of your cost, because that way you can pay yourself back for the investment that you made into your business by buying the camera. You probably are paying for or will pay for an Adobe subscription for Lightroom and Photoshop. And did you know that there is a photographer's Adobe Creative Cloud, which means that you can get Lightroom and Photoshop for a bundled price without having to get the whole creative suite, because you probably won't be using all those other programs, but for sure you'll be using Lightroom, and on occasion you'll probably be using Photoshop as well. I'll leave a link in the description below so you can go check out Adobe Creative Cloud subscription. And then also don't forget your actual time spent. I think when we're creatives, when we're photographers, when we're working for ourselves, we often don't take into account our actual costs of time. As they say, time is money. So take into account how much time it takes to emailing with your clients, editing their photo shoot, the time it actually takes to drive there, do the photo shoot, drive home, upload your cards to your laptop, to your computer, get them into Lightroom, edit them, put any finishing touches. Like, there's a lot of time that goes into photo shoots, and it's not just the 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours that you're actually on the photo shoot. There's a whole lot of other time that goes into this shoot. And when it comes to pricing your photo shoots, it does matter. You should take into consideration your local market. So while you should not look at other photographers in your area's pricing and then copy it or lowball it, you should kind of get an idea of what other photographers in your area are charging, so that you can know if your price may be too high or your price may be too low, or if you are, within the target range. Price point that you're setting also makes sense with your costs, so that you will be profitable and not just setting a price like out of thin air. So it's important to price yourself fairly, but also don't undercut other photographers like in hopes that you'll just book more because you're lesser priced. That is not always why somebody books a photographer. So that's something to take into consideration. Step 3 is to align your pricing with your experience and value. So if this is your first rodeo, if this is the first time that you are charging for your photography services, it's okay if you want to start lower than you would maybe like, to start lower than like maybe the market average in your area. Just don't stay there forever. I get it. Like, when you're first starting out in your photography business, you're probably questioning yourself, like, can I charge this? Will anybody pay me this much money? Who am I to charge this much money? I don't know what I'm doing, so how can I ask for money? But after you get to a certain skill level within taking your photos, like, you know how to take good photos that are in focus and exposed correctly and edited well, then if this is something that you want to turn into a business, you can, and you can set your own pricing. Confidence comes from knowing the value that you give to your clients. What does that mean? That means that you know that you can deliver photos that they are hoping for, through the experience with you. Like if it's a family photo session, you know that you can take great family photos for your clients that they will treasure forever, because family photos are precious. If you are going into food photography, you know that you can deliver mouth-watering photos for your clients so that they can get more, if they're a food blogger, if they're a restaurant, if they are, selling a product or something like that, you know that you can entice viewers from your work. Or if you are a branding photographer like me, you know that you can deliver strategic on-brand photos for your clients so that they can attract more ideal clients into their business and ultimately make more money. That doesn't come in an instant. It comes from a lot of practice. It comes from a lot of doing. It comes from taking action. So be sure to take action and you will build your confidence, and you can eventually charge more for your services. So step 4 is I recommend you start with packages, especially if this is your first time kind of pricing your photography. You want to offer easy to understand packages that make sense. Oftentimes what I've noticed is that sometimes photographers add too much like fluff or jargon, or use too many like photography words that their clients, potential clients, don't have any idea what they're talking about. Like they might say, oh, coverage, and this, gallery wrapped blah blah, and things that are very specific to like what photographers understand. So make your packages easy to understand for your potential clients. So, that may be, I recommend going with a small, medium, large kind of package. So you start with like an intro package, and then you have a middle package, and then you have a top package. You want most people to land on that middle package because it's like, middle. It has everything that you want, nothing that you don't need, and like it doesn't feel extravagant or like a splurge. And then you have an intro small package for clients who have smaller budgets or really don't need that much. And then you have that top package that anchors your price. That kind of is like everything but the kitchen sink kind of option, because there will always be those kinds of clients out there. And so it's nice when they do book that kind of package. The deliverables for your packages are going to be like the number of photos, the amount of time that you're working with them. And then if you offer anything else like prints or an album or hair and makeup or any of those types of services, kind of depending on the type of photography that you're offering. And I know that talking about pricing can be one of the hardest things for a photographer, for a creative to talk about with potential clients, especially as your pricing gets higher and higher. Like if you don't feel super confident in your pricing, it can be really hard to talk about your pricing. Be transparent with your pricing. Talk about it from the beginning. I know this is hard, but money is neutral. It's not good or bad. It's just an exchange for your service, okay? It's what you get for what you're giving, right? But it can be hard because basically it's like you're attaching a price tag to your services, to your value. So it can feel very personal if like a potential client says no, because that's going to happen. Like they might say, oh, that's out of my budget, I can't do that right now. And one of the things that I had to learn at the very beginning of my business was that a no you shouldn't take a no personally. I remember the first time I got a no from somebody who I thought I was definitely going to get a yes from, and I took it so personally. Especially because I knew this person, and so I kind of thought I had it on lock, and only to realize that, oh no, they decided to hire somebody else, which is totally fine now hearing no, it rolls off my back. It's no longer something I take personally. It's not me, it's them, and it's okay. And if they really do want to hire me eventually, like either they'll save up their money or, book something smaller that fits within their budget. But yeah, no, like pricing your services and then hearing no, it can feel devastating if you're not prepared for it. So be prepared for I'm sorry, we decided to go a different way. and don't take it personally. I know it's really hard, but with time and with practice, it gets easier. It sucks. I'm not saying it doesn't suck. It really does. But we can't take it personally. We just need to like, okay, let's try again with the next inquiry and the next client. And here's that bonus tip of the common mistake to avoid, especially when you're first starting out with your photography business, is don't make the mistake of pricing too low out of fear that nobody is going to book you. Because here's what happens. Often I see newer photographers, and I get it because it's really hard to price your work. It feels like, you're pricing a piece of yourself. And so, you might be thinking, oh, who would pay that? Who would pay that? And so you lower your price and you lower your price until it's like, okay, maybe somebody will pay this. But what can happen, there's a couple of different scenarios that can happen. Number one is that people book you and you get super busy super fast, and then you're overwhelmed, and then you're burnt out, and you're like, why did I even do this? Like, I can't keep up. I don't want to do this anymore. So that's scenario number one. Scenario number two, that you're priced so low that people don't trust you. Yes, that can happen too. Just think about it. If you've ever, gone shopping for an item and you kind of know the average price of the item. Let's use TVs, for example. Now, you know that a flat screen TV in 2024, the average price for like a large size, 60-inch or whatever, is like $500 or something, thereabouts, depending on, the features. Now, think about if you saw a similar size TV and it was only $100. What is the first thought that you have about it? I know for me, what's wrong with it? Like, why is it priced so low? And in the same fashion, that can happen with your pricing for your photography. If you're priced so low, somebody might think, oh, why is the price of this so much less than everybody else? Because they probably have an idea of an average price of what they're looking for a photo session. So if you're cutting your price, let's say the average in your area is $200 and you decide you price it at $50. That's either going to signal to the potential client that you're just starting out, which you are, that's okay. They're going to start questioning the product. Like, is it going to be good enough? Like, because there is that saying, you get what you pay for. And when you're priced really low, that can often be the case. Be sure to set your pricing to reflect your costs. Do that little math, and make sure that whatever you're pricing at, you are covering costs so that it makes sense, so that you are profitable, and that you fall into, the general market without undercutting yourself, without pricing yourself too high either. And then you can kind of incrementally step your price up. And if you're a newer photographer, or you're a photographer who's newer in business and this is your first time asking for money for a photo shoot, share with me in the comments below. Like, what is it that makes you most nervous? If you're pricing things for the first time, feel free to leave the questions in the comments below. And if you found this helpful, be sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this. And if you're just getting your photography business started and you're like, hey, I really could use a checklist to know that I'm on the right track, good news for you. I've got a checklist in the below. Be sure to check it out, and I will see you in the next one.